Welcome to Monday Motivation. We're glad you're here to join us this week. And we've got a topic. What we're going to look at is the characteristics or traits of successful people. There is a meme on Facebook that I quite like. I'm not sure who to give credit to, but I'll actually bring it up here. Just give me a moment. And this meme talks about, or does a comparison of successful people versus unsuccessful people and some characteristics. And I quite like it. I've noticed it a few times. Unfortunately, I don't know who to give credit to, but whoever came up with this has some great insights, some great wisdom at looking what makes the difference between somebody who's successful versus somebody who is not or who is unsuccessful. And so I'm going to use this, and that is our top 10 list this week. So what are the characteristics of successful versus unsuccessful people? Number one, successful people read every day. They read every day. Versus unsuccessful people who just watch TV or Netflix or social media. They read every day. Why? Because reading, you actively use your brain. If I'm reading, I want to learn, I want to grow, my brain is working. Whereas if I'm watching TV, that's my time to just veg and go rest. When you're watching, you're just absorbing. But there is good stuff on TV, there is good stuff on Netflix, but reading engages your brain much more. Successful people read every day. Number two, successful people compliment other people versus criticizing. When you compliment somebody, you're helping them to grow, you're building them up. Whereas when you criticize, you're tearing people down, and that comes back on you. It makes you look bad. People are not going to support you in being successful. Now, there is false compliments. You don't want to do that. Be honest, be genuine when you compliment people. But then when you criticize, there is a place for constructive criticism, but there's a certain way to do it. And the goal behind it is not to tear the person down. The goal is to help them get better. So, compliments, be careful with your constructive criticisms. Number three, embrace change. Successful people realize that the world and life around them will always change. And they embrace that change. They run with it. And that's why they're successful. Versus unsuccessful people who fear change. When you fear change, we talked about fear a number of times on a number of our webcasts. When you operate out of fear, you can't get ahead. You're thinking negative. You're always still looking for things to go wrong. Whereas when you embrace change, you're ready to run with it. Successful people want to embrace change. They look at it as an opportunity to get better. Number four, successful people forgive others. I did 2 Monday Motivations. I titled it The Rat. It's one of my key speeches that I give. The Rat. And it talks about the poison of unforgiveness and how when we don't forgive people, we're not hurting them. We're only hurting ourselves. We're taking the poison of unforgiveness. So forgiving others is so important. Letting go of the wrongs, letting go of the hurt so that you can move ahead rather than wallowing in self-pity and revenge and regret. Forgiveness is so important. Check out my one called The Rat. The opposite of that is holding a grudge, harboring unforgiveness, bitterness. And that just eats away at you. The resentment just eats away, and that holds you back from being successful. Forgive others. Successful people talk about ideas instead of talking about people. What can we do differently? What can we do better? They dream, they think about ideas, whereas rather than just making small talk about people, that's gossip. That gets you nowhere. When you want to get ahead, talk about ideas. Don't talk about people. That was number 5. Number 6, one that I love, is continuously learn. People who are successful always want to learn. I love that. I used to teach, and I'm always trying to learn new things. I know electronics, I know business, I know event production. There's many different things, and now I'm doing public speaking, and I'm learning different things that way. I always want to learn. Learning is so important. They're always striving to learn. Whereas unsuccessful people think they know it all. I don't have to learn anything. I already know. They've closed their minds. So many people, after they finish school, they stop learning. Learning is a lifelong endeavor. There is so many things that we can learn. We can learn from people. We can learn from books. We can learn from experience. Life is a continuous learning experience. As soon as you stop learning and think you know it all, you stop growing. You're positioning yourself to just become complacent and unsuccessful. Successful people accept responsibility for their failures. We all make mistakes. I'm going to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. And when we do make a mistake, we accept responsibility for it and we learn from it. Whereas unsuccessful people, it's because of COVID, or it's because of my boss, or because of my spouse. There's always somebody else to blame. It's never their fault. And maybe that's part of it, part of the problem. But you can't control that. You can control yourself. And when you accept responsibility for your mistakes and your failures, then you are in a position to change. You are learning from it, and you are putting yourself into a position to succeed the next time around. Successful people have a sense of gratitude. We just finished Thanksgiving. Gratitude and how it positions your mind, your mindset, is so important. Thankfulness and gratitude, the way that your mind works when you're thankful and it's just so much more healthy. Whereas when you think, I'm owed this, or I don't have this, I don't have that, it's such a negative mindset that it drags you down. There's lots of things I'd like to have, but rather than dwelling on what I don't have, I want to dwell on what I do have, and how can I use that to move forward and become more successful. Number 9, they set goals and develop life plans. I see so many people that just wander aimlessly from this to this to this, from that job to that job to that job. And even some people, this girlfriend to this one, to this one, to this one, just wandering aimlessly. That is a recipe for failure. You will not be successful. Successful people set goals. They develop plans. They write it down. When you write something down, it becomes a lot more concrete. When an architect designs a building, he has to write it down. When you have a business plan, you have to write that down. It forces you to think it through, and it's then there right in front of you as a reminder. Set goals, develop life plans. There were 9 on the picture. I've added one more to make it 10. Number 10, successful people are focused. They are focused. They are focused on learning. They are focused on those life plans and those goals that they have. There's so many distractions. TV, social media, telephone. People want you to do this. There's so many distractions all over the place. But successful people, they have their goal, they have their purpose, and they stay focused on that purpose. Whereas people who are unsuccessful are easily distracted. They, the phone rings. They've lost sight of their goal. This happens, that happens, life happens. But they're tossed around. Time manages them rather than them managing their time. And they're distracted by everything that comes along. So even if they do have goals, they never are focused enough to work towards those goals. Successful people are focused. People who are unsuccessful are easily distracted. That's the top 10. Read every day, compliment people, embrace change, forgive others, talk about ideas, continuously learn, accept responsibility for your failures, have a sense of gratitude, set goals and develop life plans, and number 10, stay focused. That's my top 10 traits or characteristics of successful people. And all of these we could go into a lot more detail. We have talked about forgiveness. We've talked about gratitude in previous editions. Go to our website, monday-motivation.ca. You can pick up any of the previous webcasts. Feel free to leave your comments here. A couple of announcements, a couple of things I want to bring up. Number one, the History Makers Experience is available. It's actually being offered by a group in Kentucky. It's a 2.5-day experience designed to rewire you for kingdom living. It's quite intense. It's more than just a training program. It's more than just a conference. And it's being hosted by a group in Kentucky. And they do have a couple of seats left. They do have a bit of space. So I'll post it in the comments if you are interested, or message me. I can give you more detail on it. And number two, I'm doing a workshop in Zoom on Monday, November 2nd, and it's Discover Your Purpose. And this is through my role with the History Makers Academy. I'm one of their trainers, and this will be a micro training. It'll be about an hour long, Monday, November 2nd at 7 p.m. Discover Your Purpose. So I'll put links in the social media, but you won't be able to watch it on social media. You'll actually have to join us by Zoom. So you'll see some advertisements on this. I'd strongly encourage you, put it in your calendar. We'd love to have you as part of this workshop that we're doing on November 2nd. Discover Your Purpose. My challenge to you this week, take these 10 tips. Which one are you weak in? For example, sometimes I'm weak in a sense of gratitude. So I'm going to take this week and I'm going to look at what can I do to improve my sense of gratitude versus a sense of entitlement. What am I going to do to improve my sense of gratitude? That's my challenge to myself. But to you, out of those 10 points, which one is an area where you might be a little bit weak? Take that area and come up with a concrete plan. What am I going to do to improve in this area so that I can take one more step towards becoming a successful person rather than somebody unsuccessful who just wanders through life? That's my challenge. If you want to talk about it, message us. We do individual coaching. So if you do want to talk about any of this, or share what your idea is, share it in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Have a great week. We'll see you next week on Monday Motivation.